Hello there. Welcome to the New Spurs Order podcast, where we are forced to be humble and just be here, existing, trying to kick on. I'll be your host for this one, X-Pac. Tops, my wonderful co-host. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. Another terrible week in N17. Um, but yeah, we are where we are, out of another cup, another loss under Ange, in which we conceded four plus goals.
Mm,
Yeah, wonderful.
it is. It is. And there's usually some kind of small positive you can take out of each game, each loss, or there's the kind of overarching caveat of the injuries and the energy of the players. Um, this one, it's just hard to really find anything, maybe outside of the debutants, but we'll get into it. Man, um, I was actually confident going into this game as well. Like, this is contrary to what Jamie Carragher says about all of our fans. I was just like, well, we've shown a resilient performance against Brentford, and then we've had a recent-ish resilient performance against Hoffenheim away.
Yeah.
There's obviously a clear quality gap, but I had a small bit of faith we could get a draw out of the second leg and thus going through on aggregate. But man, how are you feeling going into the game?
I wasn't feeling confident, I'll be honest with you. As someone who has kind of kept a sort of quiet eye on Liverpool this season, um, and off the back of that Brentford performance, I just didn't feel like this was a game that we should feel particularly confident going into for a win. Um, so honestly, when I saw the lineups and when I saw Liverpool's lineup, especially how strong it was, I knew that our cast had been died. So I went and played football with the TLF man, um,
Hmm.
which
How many of the
clearly,
new Spurs Order lot were representing?
oh, it was just a gaffer, so just me and Dave, which was he was on the sideline with the
Hmm.
boys. So yeah, I think he was watching most of the game, to be honest.
Lovely, lovely. Well, we'll go over the first half then. I think the starting lineup almost picked itself in a way, just based on available players and energy and whatever else. And yeah, I didn't think we started the game well. I thought we started off in a shell. We were clearly looking to slow the game down, sort of looking to waste time whenever we could. Um, and really, truly, it just seemed to just spur them on. Um, no pun intended, but there was a moment where Son was taking the corner and he went right out of his way to spend an extra 15, 20 seconds just moving a microphone out the way. We had a counter attack where Kulusevski actually finally managed to hold the ball up. And I felt a bit sorry for him during the game, especially the first half, but he managed to hold the ball up, managed to cut in on his left foot, get his head up, and it was just Richarlison with him. And I'm like, oh man, we are not going for this at all. Like, we are
Yeah,
trying to protect this lead. Um, and yeah, Kulusevski was obviously the outlet for most of the first half, or we attempted him to be. And out on the wing, he just quickly got surrounded by at least like two, three players. And he just looked heavy legged, for lack of a better term, at the same time. So that was most of my summary for the first kind of opening stages of the game before they eventually scored. But how did you look at it?
yeah. So obviously I was at football, so I didn't actually see the game in real time. But based on the group chats that I'm in and just the chatter about the game, I ended up just staying up late and watching it on a replay that I recorded. And it was an odd one. It was an odd one because you know it's going to be difficult at Anfield. You know there's going to be very, very little time given on the ball. You know that Liverpool always traditionally are going to try to come out of the blocks. And I kind of felt that we got ourselves into a decent-ish position. I felt like the opening sort of 15 of the game, I felt like we clearly looked like we had come to kind of stodge it up. not really get out too much. But it looked like in defensive phases, we looked okay. I kind of felt
Mm,
we were playing out probably. This is something that I have a little bit of an issue with under Range anyway, is that I feel like we overplay in our first phase. And even though Liverpool were pressing, and they were getting the ball back at times, I still felt that there was some level of control. Um,
mm,
and it was strange because he said in the interview that he felt like we had not done what he had wanted us to do, which I don't know, it kind of indicates one of two things. It's either that he literally told us to go out there and play that way, or he didn't, and we just decided to just basically not believe in the fact that this is a game that we could win. Um, so for me, the early exchanges were they were never they were never here or there because Liverpool don't need um, they don't need 90 minutes to put enough pressure on you to score a goal, which we found out pretty soon after that sort of early exchange.
and yeah, to answer your suggestion and your question, I think, well, to me, it looked like a bit of both. Like I felt like we had a game plan to set our stall out a bit, but be able to build up better, be able to
Mm-hmm.
counter attack a bit better. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think both things were true. I thought we were instructed to do most of that, and then the rest of the good part in regards to being able to actually just keep the ball better and actually be able to counter attack, we were just too far in our shell, not brave
What do you
enough.
think? What do you think was the thought process behind that, based off the Brentford game? Because to me, I felt that we looked at the Brentford sort of way in which we played that match, and we managed to get ourselves into a situation whereby we were mostly in that game against Brentford in a low block, and I just felt that not that we underestimated Liverpool, but for us to kind of go into this kind of game backs against the wall, and to think that that method of play, to not really even give it a go, would be something that would work at Anfield. I don't know. It kind of screams
Mm,
terror to me. Kind of screams terror to me. I would actually rather we go out fighting than
yeah,
in the end what we did. You know?
I know what you mean, and that would have been ideal. I think the thought process was we just wanted to be efficient with our energy.
Yeah.
Um, like yeah, we could have been a bit more kind of forward thinking, a bit more attack minded, but I'm not sure we would have had the enough energy and legs to be able to sustain that for longer periods than what we were aiming to do at Anfield. And I think there's a natural kind of suffering period for any team that goes to Anfield anyway. Like
Facts. Facts.
you could be Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man City,
Mm-hmm.
whoever. You are going to suffer at Anfield for however long, one way or another.
Yeah,
For
you're absolutely
probably
right.
most of the game, if not all of it. So, especially when it's this far into a cup competition, like this is just when the stadium comes alive, especially on the weekday. You're not going
Yeah.
to get many tourists on a Thursday evening in
On a
Liverpool.
Thursday
I think
evening in
this is going to
Liverpool,
be the diehards. This is going to be
Yeah.
the diehards, cheaper ticket priced game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were always going to be up against it, and I think being efficient with our energy was the right play. We just couldn't. We just didn't have the quality to execute it and the bravery to even try half of the things. Like there were openings and moments we did have on the counter attack, but more often than not, we only had like two people going forward.
At
The
any
rest were
given
kind of
moment,
just
which
camped.
is it kind of I don't know, kind of defeats everything that we've been trying to do really this season. It doesn't certainly feel like how we played this season, and for us to kind of do that away at Liverpool in a cup semi-final, which is arguably the team's most important game of the season,
Yeah, and this is
feels a bit.
why
Hmm,
I've been a big fan of Ange not changing his style. Like loads of people are saying, yeah, you need to adapt, you need to change your style.
yeah,
It's all about it's only ever really been about small tweaks for me. It's only ever
yeah,
really been about small tweaks. Like you only need to drop your line 5 yards and just look to get your foot on the ball more often. as like a slight tweak while keeping your identity and the way you want to play still intact. Because really and truly, I don't think he's capable of coaching any other way anyway. So
No,
why?
I absolutely agree with you on that point. I feel like this notion of him trying to temper the way he wants to play is really personnel based, in my opinion.
Mm,
If it was up to him, it would be attack, attack, attack. But because he's literally had his legs, his arms, his ears, his feet hacked from him with injuries, he's literally playing with whatever he can. And in doing so, it just naturally falls into this situation where, you know what, someone like Kulusevski has been involved in 38 games of a season up until
mm.
February. So I don't expect that his percentage barometer is going to be at 100% throughout the game. You know?
I know, and to me, it's given a little bit of Pochettino 18-19, where circumstantially we tweaked the way we played. It managed to get us to a Champions League final, but by the
Mm-hmm.
end, it's
Yeah.
like the team and Pochettino himself just had brain rot. Like it was
Yeah, man.
just the end of their tether, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how what Ange is going to do and how he's going to play once we do get all of our players back. Because like people have been making a good point of, like we were losing games, like while we had all most of our players, if not all of
Yeah,
them, and before we
absolutely.
had the injury crisis. So that'll be an interesting play. But we'll get onto that one.
Yeah,
Um, Liverpool made it 1-0
yeah,
off what I thought was mainly a Basuma mistake, which is like I felt like Basuma actually started the game okay. He entered in a really good challenge, made a good tackle, took a massive whack to the shin. Like I didn't think it was anything more than a knock because
yeah.
he got up and played on. I think a lot of it was like making sure he recovered from the knock while he was down. And it was just another element of us kind of killing a bit more time. But then we actually build out quite well. Um, all Bissouma had to do was be on his toes and just like he had the time and space. Like, he had a lot of relative time and space to be able to just make a pass to Son. No, sorry, Sar or Son. I think they were
Yeah,
both on, to be honest.
they were both
And
on,
he
you
just
know?
wasn't on his toes. He just didn't look like he was expecting the ball whatsoever. Kind of chased his first touch while finding his own feet, and then just quickly rushed to try and get rid of the ball for the sake of getting rid of the ball. Gives it away in a dangerous area, and then box defending wasn't great, but really and truly that mistake was
It's
super poor from
preventable.
Basuma, and then
Absolutely.
he crumbled for the rest of the game.
I mean, this is
Um,
an experienced player who's just constantly showing his ass, constantly showing his ass. I just have no more words for this guy. I have no more words for this. No more words. Just
what did you have to say about our midfield in general from what you
well,
had?
so from what I saw, I actually felt that if you were going to go into this kind of a game, back against Wall against Liverpool in Anfield, this is the kind of midfield you want. You want a midfield that has got, in my opinion, the legs, in my opinion, um, the work rate, the energy, not so much the ingenuity, but the three sort of previous adjectives that I gave. You kind of you kind of want these are the kind of guys to put in your team to give you the opportunity to stay in the game. You know that Gravenberg is a good player. You know that Curtis Jones is a tidy player on the ball. You know that Liverpool are they're gonna use a lot of that energy from people like Szoboszlai in that midfield. And actually, in one sense, I'm looking at Sarr, I'm looking at Benten, I'm looking at Bissouma, and I'm thinking there's no reason why man to man you shouldn't be able to keep these guys at an arm's length. What I didn't predict, what I did not predict was the three of them not putting a fucking finger on any one of those midfielders.
Mm.
That is not what I thought would happen. And honestly, for 90 minutes, those three, or for however many minutes, especially Bissouma and Sarr, for those 60 minutes or 55 that they were on, it was belt to arse. These men fucking sucked. They sucked yesterday. All right. Ben 10, fine. I think he did as much as he could, but we know that by playing this guy in the position you're playing in, it's not his natural position, and he's not going to feel super comfortable. So you're asking him, one, to do a lot more work than what he was doing because the other two just didn't. And two, you're asking him to play in a position which it isn't his primary position. So he's obviously having to kind of engage his brain whilst being pressed to life by Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Jones, whilst trying to do the heavy lifting of that first phase build up with the defenders who weren't really giving him much help. It just nothing worked. Nothing worked yesterday in that midfield. And what's so annoying about this whole situation as well with this midfield is that, I'm sorry, injuries or not, 18 months into this project, Ange doesn't know his midfield. He doesn't know what is the best midfield. And still, this is a problem to me. This is a problem because you have been given a roulette of different types of players, different profiles, different skill levels, different ages, different experiences. And still, we're at a point where you don't know what midfield or what type of midfield and profiling in that midfield that you are happy to go with. If you look at the type of game and think, that's the runners that I want in midfield, why not then just immediately see that it's not working, pull Kulu back into the position in which you've trusted him most, put Tell on the wing. Actually, mix it up. Maybe put more on the wing. If Richarlison's not doing it, bring someone in the middle. Put Tell on the left. Bring Kulu back into the middle. I'm running out. I'm running out.
I feel like we definitely needed some just some oomph in that midfield. Like I felt like Kulusevski could have gone in there earlier. Bergvall could have definitely gone in there earlier. Like, I felt like we needed it at half time to be fair, but it wasn't made until it was circumstantially 2-0. Javid, welcome to the pod.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're all good. You're all good. It's understandable given the state of play, to be fair. But no, thank you for joining. Obviously, we're just picking up now. 1-0 down at half time.
Yeah.
What did you think we needed, or what did you want to see kind of going into that second half as the game was really, it was firmly still in our hands?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Topsa said. I think Owen, you were about to go on to it as well, but it was clear from the first half. The midfield was just drowning and they needed help. I know we don't have many options at the moment, but they needed something. I think what you said, what Top said about bringing Kulusevski back in the midfield, that would have helped us maybe control the ball a bit better. I mean, I was expecting after the break for us to, have a bit of a breather, have some sort of team talk and come out with more energy. And from the first minute after the second half, Liverpool were all over us again. And that was basically the whole. And I didn't expect, that was what shocked me. I thought, second half, okay, something's got to give, but nothing actually got given. And we just watched the same game in the first half happen. So that was what was frustrating. And yeah, the midfield, as Top said, it was a shocking performance from everyone in that midfield. But yeah, I wanted to, I felt for them. But when I looked at Liverpool's midfield and just their whole team in general, there was parts of me where, Liverpool were getting the second balls, or there was the ball just ended up in a bit of open play, but the Liverpool player was always getting there first. And I wanted to give a benefit of the doubt, but when it happens so many times in one game, it's clear that there's more. It's more about your technical level, and there's more things going on at play than it is just, we were just unlucky and the players are tired. And yeah, that was just what was frustrating for me in the second half.
That's what I mean. And there's been a lack of context from, I guess, some of the mainstream pundits, but
yeah,
we did have a lack of energy. We definitely had a lack of quality, but man, like the way Sabotza was punching up Bentancur in every single duel, and most of them actually from what I saw in the first half anyway, actually favoured Bentancur. That there'd be a time where he had a little bit of time and space just to trap it, just to resist a bit of pressure. And as soon as Sabotza got near him, the ball was just in Liverpool hands, and it was damn, okay, you're better than this, but I think the occasion is just getting to you too much, my boy. And I'm looking at Kinski a little bit funny now. I think Vicario saves the first one. There was a few hairy moments outside of that, and I don't even mean with the ball playing. There was a header from our own player, I think, which ballooned straight up into the air. All he had to do was just jump and catch it, and he almost fumbled
he hits
straight
it out.
in front of goal. And I was like, pretty preventable. And then I guess you could say he got a little bit unlucky for not beating Nunes. I thought he was going to get there first, but he just underestimates how rapid Darwin Nunes actually is. As much as he doesn't have a brain, the guy has attributes, and just ultimately brings him down for a penalty, and that's when we make the subs. And yeah, what did you kind of make from the rest of the second half, Tops? Any positive?
It was much of the same. Like, it was mentioned in the group as well. Like, at that point, the game is 2-0. It's actually a 2-1 score.
Yeah.
The game
Spence goes right wing, Porro goes right back, and Bergvall comes into midfield just for content.
The game is still at play. You can still go for it. And in my opinion, I just felt like those moves weren't moves with someone who was actively really trying to go for it, because not much changed from that point. The performance, in my opinion, stayed kind of abject. There was a bit of a lull in that middle portion of the game before the last two goals came. But I don't know. I'm just losing a little bit. No, I'm not losing. I've lost confidence in his ability to make changes that suitably are to the team's benefit, in my opinion. I feel like we're really playing in a moment where there's a lot of square pegs in round holes, and it's not to the team's benefit at the moment. The situation where, sorry, it was Porro that came on that first bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, Porro and Bergvall came on as substitutions.
So, in that moment, I just felt it would be a lot easier to have brought on Tel, to have maybe even moved Son infield, to just get Spence into left back, to just use quickly Gray in midfield, just to kind of plug up some of these holes, even from an off-the-ball perspective. But these moves, I mean, it's difficult. Like, on one hand, yes, it's good because he's playing with young players. Like, I saw a stat today that out of all the Premier League teams, the team that has played the minutes or players who are under 18, and Spurs are top of that list with nearly 4,000 minutes, I'm guessing, from Gray and Bergvall this season. Which, I mean, you can't fault them, but these are guys who are under 20 who shouldn't even be playing this many minutes. So it does point to the poor squad playing. I just felt that second sort of period in the game after the second goal, it was a lull, none of the ball was being kept in the final third. Not much was being created with enough energy, with enough urgency, and it almost felt like Liverpool just needed something to just kind of get them back. Because by that point, I just felt that if we had taken very few touches in the Liverpool box and had no shots up to that point, I was like, well, the only way we would score would be from sort of freakish chance. I mean, that Son chance that hit the crossbar, if that's a chance, that's kind of, again, like a half-ish chance, in my opinion. That half chance that Spence had. These are situations that I feel as well that players have created themselves, as opposed to the system sort of owing to them being able to be put in these positions to kind of create these chances. which again is another negative of what we're going through at the moment. Once upon a time, we were chance creation monsters. Now, whether it's energy, whether it's style, whether it's just this general drudge we're going through at the moment, chances aren't being created at will as much as they once were. So that's something that's also, I don't know, you kind of need to focus and think about why that's not happening. I kind of felt similar that way in the Leicester game. I kind of felt similar with the Brentford game and even the Everton game to some extent as well.
Yeah, I kind of saw Son come alive, but only when I think it was already 4-0 on the night, and he managed to work that shot onto his left foot. Not long after that, had an okay-ish shot from outside the box on his right. And there was just a few moments where we won the ball high up into their own half, and then we would just go all the way back to our defence or goalkeeper. It's just like, we'll commit one or two extra bodies forward, and we've got like an even kill of like a 5-on-5 or a 6-on-6. And we can hurt teams when we can hurt any team when we get into those kind of positions, but we just didn't get out of our shell when it mattered. And that was a shame. Javid, what did you kind of think of, I guess what you could call a little positive spot slash a little bit of a change in subject, a little thing. How did you think our new signings performed?
Yeah, Dan. So I'll start with Dan obviously because he started and he played more minutes than Tell. But I thought he was good. He played well. He looked comfortable, and when he had the ball and stuff, I wasn't worried. He seemed fine. He looked competent, and he looks like a good sign. I don't want to jump overboard if it's his first game, but to play well at Anfield against Liverpool in a semi-final is good. And yeah, he looks like a good signing. Tell, obviously, I mean, when he came on, he didn't even get the ball that much, and wasn't really able to do anything. Not really. I don't think that says anything much about him. It was more so about the whole team performance. We just couldn't get the ball to our attackers. So, yeah, I mean, anyone coming in for that to be your first game, I think just any player at Tottenham would have struggled in that sort of game state anyway. So, not much really to say on Tell. Probably against Villa, he should, get more minutes and probably get a bit more joy. I'm hoping. That's the optimist in me, but maybe Villa battle us as well, but we'll see.
We shall. And segue was the word I was looking for. A minute or two ago, I just had a complete brain fart there. But yeah, we finally sealed the window. We got 3 signings, 2 of them coming right at the end. So I just want to kind of go through the review of the transfer window.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Tops, what are you thinking about our January window business, considering as well, I don't know if anyone saw the Langer interview as well.
No, I didn't see the Langer interview. If I was to give the window a number or a grade, we needed a goalkeeper. We got one. Oh no, the window was rubbish. What am I talking about? The window was rubbish. It was a 4 out of 10. The reason it was rubbish is because, and I still kind of feel like very strongly about this, is that, you got 3 of the positions that you needed because they were obvious in December, in November when we were preparing, but you got one guy on the 4th of January, and then you got the rest on the last day of the window. So if you had negated that and got those players in the first week, like the 4th, some of the results, some of the other injuries that we got, Dragusin getting an ACL, Van de Ven getting injured again, Richarlison getting injured again, maybe some of that doesn't happen. So in my opinion, the way I see it is it's a knock-on effect. You not doing anything and saying you did something at the end is worse, in my opinion. It was a poor window. I don't care. It was a poor window because, in my opinion, you sign those players when we need them, you might get a win against Leicester. You might get a win against Everton. You might get wins, against what was the other team we played? Oh, I mean, we beat Brentford. Yeah, the window was a rubbish one. I don't care what anyone says. We fixed issues, but it almost feels like we fixed
too little, too late.
Yeah.
Oh,
And going off what
the same sentiments there, Javid.
going off what Top said, I mean, it was reported by obviously I don't know if this is true or not, but a few journalists said that we were in for Danzo at the beginning of the window. He's with us, I think Lens, that club he's with. He played. They quoted a fee, I think around 30 million euros. Allegedly, we thought it was too much, so we waited to the window to bring it down. And as Top said, had we just paid the money, we may have. Dragosin may not have got an ACL. We would have been able to rotate. We could have picked up more points, but it's just typical, isn't it? So we're back where we are. Where we're now. Dragosin's got ACL. We're almost back to square one with our defenders because I don't know when the hell Romero is going to be back. So we're left with Danso and Davis, Evan, Archie Gray, who's like Magic Man, who can play about every position on the pitch. So,
we are literally back where we were.
I said in a group chat we're back to square one a couple of weeks ago.
Man, it's so funny, man. We're so poorly managed. We're so poorly managed from a club level. It's just
so. Johan Langer said in his interview when there was an obviously sugar-coated in-house question about the timings of these transfers, and he was like, yeah, we were ready to go and we had a plan from January 1st, but it was just harder to make deals, especially with certain teams in the Europa League. Whereas, like Javid said, we had the Kevin Danso deal pretty much there for the taking if we had just paid the 30 million euros. And you think now we've got him. He, nice goal for Leicester. He's at a great age. He's somehow homegrown, which was news to me before. He profiles well as a defender who seems like he genuinely likes to defend. He's quick. He's good in the air. Could arguably come in as our best defender. With Romero just out of form. I still have some questions on Van der Ven's defending, but that's a conversation for another time, maybe. Someone who's actually good in the air for his height, doesn't necessarily rely on his pace, and seems to be decent on the ball considering what we saw in his Anfield performance, like a good ball carrier. Very adequate, nice calm profile, and then you've got. I can understand why Lens quoted like a higher fee as well, because Man City are going in for one of their other centre backs, Kusanov, and they don't want to be left short at the same time. Like we had to essentially and ideally pay what he was worth, but we waited until the more opportunistic offer came up. And like you guys both said, like we've had players get injured as a result, and now we are almost back to square one on that on the defender side of it. The only thing that has changed in the last month or two is that Archie Gray is essentially a fully fledged centre back now. Like I don't even see him in the midfielder in our squad for this season anyway. Like I think he'll just play in defence, whether it be fullback or centre back for the rest of the season. I was satisfied with our pursuit of Randall Colomawani, and essentially Colomawani just made a better common sense decision. Join Spurs or join the unbeaten Italian league team, who are a bigger team than Spurs. Made sense. They were unbeaten at the time. So he joins them, and then Matisse Tell only really became available like a week before the deadline window. So I understood that, and as a long term, if he does stay after the loan, I think it's a great signing. If not, it just seems a bit weird. Like obviously he was looking like he was going to turn us down, and then I'd had all of the copium I thought I needed. Like short term, this guy isn't great. And he's not played many minutes at all. Like short term, yeah, he's an upgrade on Werner, but doesn't help us that much. And then we went and signed him anyway. So Egener faced a little bit, and then Kinski, who got in early, and he still looks to have a really high ceiling as a goalkeeper. So with all of that said, and the amount of centre-back targets we fumbled before eventually going full circle back to Danzo, it's a 4 or a 5 out of 10 for me in the window. Maybe you should have got Ange on the blower a bit sooner. Who knows? We're still in other cup competitions. Before we preview the Aston Villa game, do you think we can win the Europa League? Now, we've obviously made changes to the squad as well before I move on. So Jed Spence, Matisse Tell and Danzo have now been added to the squad now with Werner, Dragusin, and who else has been taken out?
Fraser Forster.
Is it Fraser Forster?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Oh, there you go. That's appropriate. We've got Austin. Yeah, what are you guys thinking about our chances for the Europa League? Bookie's favourites somehow.
Start of the season, I was thinking, we could get I thought, I was more optimistic. Now, it's just a fact I don't even remember what our first team 11 looks like playing together anymore. Like, I've just forgotten. So for me to say and say, oh, well, we can win it, when I don't even know when Romero is going to be back, obviously they're going to be back sooner rather than later, but there's some good teams in there, and I think obviously it's not the level of like someone like Liverpool that we've just played yesterday, but yeah, it's gonna be very difficult, and I don't know where we're gonna be sitting in the league towards the end of the season, if we're gonna be in the FA Cup, but yeah, probably I don't think we can win it. I'll probably say that. Keep it if I had to summarize.
I don't think we can win the FA Cup, to be fair. I'm pinning all the hopes on the Europa League. Tobbs, what do you think?
Why not? I was listening to Mugger earlier this week, and despite their season, despite their form, they still think that they're capable of even, shithousing that. So if they still think that they're capable of shithousing it, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to. Like I always said, similar to what Jab said at the beginning of the season, I look at the teams and I'm like, over 2 legs or 1 match, there's no reason that there's any team in this tournament that should be able to beat us, in my opinion. I was a bit more enamoured at the beginning of the season, but now, no. I'm not so much enamoured. But that's the beauty of a two-legged tie. I don't think there's any team that will give us what Liverpool gave us last night, in my opinion. Liverpool gave us the business. They flogged us last night. But I don't think there's any team in the Europa League that's capable of doing what Liverpool did yesterday, which makes me feel that if Solanke's back, if Tell's there, Maddison,
we can compete.
Romero or Van de Ven, there's no reason why not. And from what I understand, listening to the presser this morning, there's a whole group of players who are due to be back after the 10th of Feb. I think Johnson, Maddison, Van de Ven.
He's supposed to be back before United as well.
Odebert, Udogie. So there's a handful of first team
Udogie?
guys. There's a handful of first team guys who are supposed to be back quite soon. And then I think they said Romero is one of the ones who's a bit more further along. With Werner as well, apparently. So there's numbers. So all of a sudden, we've gone from having some players missing for a long time to getting quite a big group of them back. I don't want them to be rushed, but one thing as well, I think Dave mentioned it, was that between the 9th and the 22nd of Feb, we don't have any midweek games, which to me is important for just getting rest, giving the manager time to get in tune with the players again, giving the manager time to instill his process and his system into those guys who have been out of it, building guys' fitness up, so that they can be looking forward to playing 1 week without having their bodies being destroyed. I think there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to. But we've seen the form this season. The form has been erratic. It's been disappointing. It hasn't been consistent. So if someone was to say to me today, are you going to win the Europa League? I would probably say no. But if someone also said to me, can you win the Europa League? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Man United are still in it. And Sociedad is still in it. And Galatasaray are in it. There's no reason why we shouldn't be in it.
Yeah, there's quite a few teams. Roma probably pose a bit of a threat. Lazio and Bilbao are there. Man United are always capable of shithousing. Lyon, I don't really know what to expect of Lyon. They always have great players, but never are a great team. Frankfurt still in there, but they've just lost Mamouche. It's funny because I was just thinking about what our attack looks like with little to no injuries, and we're actually stacked. But we just can't keep them all fit. Even in midfield, we're pretty stacked. I just somehow like with Ange as well. Like when it comes to like, oh, I win in my second year and blah blah blah. Like we've always kind of said throughout the league season, his methods and his tactics and the way he wants to play only really work if they're like the best team or the most like favorable team in a given match or in a given league. If you're in any way like nearly level, you're probably just going to get outmaneuvered just through not being able to put teams away. Whereby, if we get enough players fit back in Europe, and we do have one of the best squads, if not the best squad in the Europa League, by all means, like I think we can put teams away. It's just, again, just a case of if Ange can get a tune out of these players again. Because like Javid said, like I can't remember what an Ange team looks like now with most of our players fit. I know it looked like at the start of the season, and I don't think I've seen us play like a great game since like maybe even the first game of the season where we didn't even win at Leicester away. Like I thought that was a great performance. Maybe Everton at home, but got to caveat that with
maybe
Brentford was really good actually.
Yeah,
Brentford home was.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's been so long since you've had
a long time, bro.
Even the whole team fit. So
I mean, to have every single one ready, like even if you had a full defense, where does Archie Gray go?
Get us to Dubai, man. Just get us a nice warm weather break to Dubai.
Knowing them, they'll get injured on a plane somehow.
Players are pining for it. Oh man! At this point, we need to just get over this game on Sunday, and maybe they might get some sort of rest up until the following weekend, which I think is it Ipswich or is it Man City?
We've got Man United
coming up, yeah.
Man United, sorry.
United is home, isn't it? Yeah, it's home, isn't it?
Yeah, it is home. Yeah, next Sunday, 16th. Yeah.
But now we obviously now have to just try and get through this game on Sunday. Aston Villa away in the FA Cup. To be fair, they have their own issues. Their their defense is pretty depleted. They signed Disasi, so there's hope there. Ollie Watkins is missing out, I think. So it'll probably be Donny Marlon or Rashford to deputise centre forward, because obviously they've lost John Duran as well, like an absolute gunman who's obviously doing this thing now. What does that team look like for Aston Villa, Tops? Because on one side, I'm thinking Kulusevski needs to be rested, but he can be rested. Yeah. Man United, it's just one more push. Like we need him for this game. It's
a difficult one. Like, first of all, the turnaround is fucking bullshit, in my opinion, because normally these fucking Carling Cup, games are on Wednesdays, Tuesday and Wednesdays, normally. So why the fuck why the hell do we have it on a Thursday? And then now you're forcing us to play 5:30, all eyes on me, on a Sunday. Kind of BS, but that's neither here or there. At this point, something about me was like, man, maybe these guys were just saving themselves for Villa. And then I realized, no, they fucking wouldn't. They're not that smart. They're not that smart. These morons are not that smart. So
you always got to commit to a semi-final anyway.
So in my head, I'm just looking at like they went out, they lost to Liverpool, they tried, inverted commas, and now they've got a big game in Birmingham against Villa, who are going to be keen. Like I've watched Villa quite a lot recently. I watched them in their last cup game. I watched them in the last league game. They're a decent side. I think they're a side that can easily be got at. They can easily be got at. Easily be got at. Like when you look at them, if you just really poke away at them, there's chimps in the armour.
We seem to do well against Unai Emery teams.
I feel like there's always some sort of goalkeeping stuff with Martinez. They're not as solid as they were defensively. Mings has recently kind of come out. I think Cash might be injured. Dinier's there. Constance there.
No, I need Cash to be present. I need Cash to be present.
I don't know. I think their biggest
little cunt.
Their biggest plus is their midfield. I feel like they are very stacked in midfield in the sense that they have Rodgers, they have Tielemans, they have McGinn, Ramsey. These are guys who are in decentish form, and a lot of their games, Kamara, who I really like a lot as well. And a lot of their game is based on getting these guys cooking. I think if you can really kind of put some level of stop on Tielemans and Rodgers, that is where you will find some joy, in my opinion, against Villa.
Yeah.
That is where you'll really kind of give them something to kind of think about. I feel like Rashford, potentially, that Rashford pack, that we could be smoking on Sunday.
He's scoring for 100%.
He's basically smoking his own pack. Ignore that, man. I don't need these negative thoughts. Negative thoughts leaving my head now.
He's going to score. He will score assist against us, and then he won't score assist again this season. That's how it's going to work.
Oh my God! Because listen. You see Rashford, yeah? I saw those pictures and I said, "Bro, big man's been going through it. Like he ain't got no trim. His head's all over the place. This guy's been in the mountains and back." And they've said, Duran's gone. Watkins is out. And he says, who you got next, guys? Oh, Spurs.
Oh, the doctor.
That Rashford.
It's there.
Yo, that might send him to the moon, man. Listen. If Rashford ain't bagging on the weekend, there's a problem with him. He's done.
Yeah. If he doesn't, it's done. It's over.
He's cooked up. If Rashford ain't doing niche on the weekend against us, he's cooked up.
Oh, it's gonna get silly. Jared, what do you think will happen? Yeah,
for me, it's just inevitable. Rashford's gonna score. I thought if he doesn't score, he needs a severance chip implanted in him. He needs to get because something's wrong. I just have a feeling he's gonna do well either this game or the next 2 or 3 games he has. Like, and then after that, he's not gonna do much. But enough on Rashford. I'll talk about Tottenham. Yeah, I think we made it. We focused on the midfield against Liverpool yesterday, and I think our midfield has to perform a lot better if we're gonna have any chance against Villa. We usually do have midfield? A lot. Yeah.
You start up top?
I don't even know. But I think Bergwall's probably got to start.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one that looks half competent at the moment. And then
what happened to Sarr? I'm so lost.
He was asked to play the advanced midfield role yesterday, in fairness, and that's not quite him.
I do like Sarr. I don't know if it's just he maybe played too many games. He's just, I don't know what it is, but I have more hope for Sarr. I do think, once we get everyone else back, maybe a bit more rotation, he'll get back to maybe, how he was performing before.
I think it'll be Sarr and Bissouma starting, considering they were the first subs off. They came off before the hour mark, so they have to.
Man,
just energy-wise, I think it has to be Bissouma, Sarr, and Bergvall. Kulusevski is going to get stuck out wide again, bless him.
Do you reckon?
He has to, though. And hopefully an early sub for him, though. Or, ideally,
I would like more, maybe start more. Maybe if Richarlison is cooked, maybe Son in the middle, or maybe you go Son on the left, more on the right. Just go from the start, Tell in the middle.
Yeah. I'm actually not mad at that because at least Kulusevski can come off the bench if more struggling,
Yeah.
and then he'll be a bit snappier when we need him to be.
Yeah,
Because I know Emery's just going to put the clamp down on Kulusevski if he starts, and we're not going to be able to play out again.
and also I feel like because of how they performed, Basuma and Sarr, they owe us a performance. They really owe us a performance, really. Sarr has traditionally he's played quite well in the last 2 games he played against Villa at Villa Park as well. So hopefully he can re-energize.
we've had a lot of joy at Villa Park recently.
We have. It's true. You're right. You are right.
That's my only hope.
Son has scored a few goals there. Maddison, Werner. Werner Johnson. These men all cooked up last time he went there as well.
Who starts at fullback for you guys?
Probably Porro and Spence.
I would like Porro and Spence to start. Yeah. I mean, it would be good for Gray to get a bit of a rest, and I feel like Davies isn't doing so bad. So maybe Davies and Danso.
I would go Davies.
Quite good.
Yeah. And I would probably rest Gray, and maybe. I mean, I would like to see him in midfield at some point. But to be honest, I think what Owen said earlier is probably true. For now, for this season, I'm probably just going to keep him.
At CB, yeah. He does look like a CB. He does look this season as if, his game time is going to be at CB. And, I mean, this is where we're at with him. This is for his development. He's a very, very talented young player with lots of potential, in my opinion. So him playing in this role, I took this guy up to the high heavens, and to me, my stocks are going through the roof for Gray. I am so happy. Jack here, I'm talking to you. I am talking to you. My stocks on Archie Gray are going to the moon right now. So as long as
apparently he's got a brother.
I'm good, man.
Your stocks are more like crypto, man. What about Santiago? What about Gift Orban?
Owen.
Gift
You don't
Orban?
need to start me on this. You don't need to start me on this because we know where your stocks are with a certain dancing bear. We know
on the top flight and the top goal scorers.
With a certain dancing bear. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Yeah. Crypto's looking rough right now, anyway. So, anyway, anyone actually predicting a win for Sunday? And who's gonna who would you actually prefer score out of Disasi and Rashford? Like, what one would actually be more painful? Maybe that's even a better question. What's more Dr. Tottenham-y?
Rashford.
As if they both score? Boy.
No, it's Rashford. Listen, if Rashford doesn't score against us, then there's something wrong with him.
Yeah. Disasi was then that one's just gonna be more about that one's gonna be about. If Rashford scores, for me, it was just inevitable anyway. Like, I was expecting it. If Disasi scores,
that's a proper Dr. Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
and the fact that they kept forcing, we were chasing him, and he kept rejecting us. He's proper Chelsea.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, you know Dr. Tottenham, man. Come on, you know Owen. DCL. He hasn't seen.
I was literally just about to come out with the name, by the way. I was just about to say Marcus Calvert-Lewin, just as you said that. Marcus Calvert-Lewin, it's happening.
He literally got injured. He got injured the game after.
He's gone. You know what? Tottenham are coming in the town, lads. Let me grab my customary goal. No. Come on.
Cool.
Man got his goal. He said, "You man, juices."
I just need all of this for Matisse Tell on Sunday. Just give it something. I need to see energy, and pride. Guys, thank you for the pod. I'm sure we're all confident for Sunday. Thank you to those that have been watching and listening live. Special shout out to J Spurs again. And Tops, Javid, thank you for joining me on this pod.
No worries.
Come on, you Spurs. Oh,
Peace.
up the Disassi.
I'll see you when Rashford scores.